going to get rough lumber with a $9 straight edge.
Okay, so we got this stud from Home Depot for $9. And it's a 10-foot stud. Actually, it was a 12-foot stud, and I cut it down to 10. And this is the last of 32 boards we cut. And so one of the cuts I did, I dropped the board. You can see here this edge bent, but it doesn't mean that the channel itself isn't straight. So what I did, and this worked out all right, is I bent this edge down out of the way, and so it rides on the saw fence on this edge. So it worked out okay. The first step is we measure both sides, and we put the straight edge equidistant on each end. So we take this and just measure it like that. We go over here and push this one up like that. And then that allows us to attach the straight edge at the right distance. So we just take this, and I just have 3 screws, one on each end and one in the middle, and then holes, and I just screw it into the lumber. And when you screw it into the lumber, you want to choose the side. So this side is the side I wouldn't use, like for a table or for doors. It has more imperfections, and the reason is you're going to have these little screw holes in the wood, so it's just nicer to not have to deal with them. So there's that one, and then I measure this end again, come over to here, double check it, and it's good. It doesn't have to be exact, but it's nice to have it close. So I'm going to go here, I'm going to finish screwing this in. Okay.
From fence to blade distance for first cut.
Okay, so we have this right angle. I got this at a Harbor Freight, and basically I just use it to measure the distance from the edge of the board to this side of the straight edge. So I just go here and I push it out, and I just push it up against the edge, and I let it hit like that. I just go all the way down like this, and I take note of where the shortest distance is, where this keeps going in. So far it's right here. So I'm going to keep going, and here the distance isn't too bad, and we get to here, and it's farther away. So I know that right here is the closest distance from this edge to here. So then what I do is I take this and I measure this way. I push this against the straight edge so it's perpendicular, and then I hold it flat against the board, and I push this back like this, and I just make sure this edge here is flush with the board like that. Oops. And I tend to get close. Okay, so then I have that distance, and that distance is 15.3 centimeters. I just find it easier to use the centimeters scale. It's just easier to remember the number. So I go to the fence, and I'll set that next. Okay.
Fence distance.
Okay, so right here I have it. It's 15.4 centimeters. So I just loosen this, and I go to the saw blade, and I push the fence back until it's 15.4. Lock it in place, and then check to make sure that the tooth on this side, because you want this side of the blade to be 15.4. And that is 15.4, so we're good. Next step is to cut this. And one thing to know about this is it is sharp metal. I haven't had any issues with the gripping and sliding out of my hands, and I wear gloves when I do it. So it's been pretty good for those 31 boards. This is the 32nd. Okay, so you can see the boards lined up. I'm going to push it through the saw. This just gives you an idea of how this straight edge is butt up against the fence, and then you're cutting this side of the wood. And that's it. So we're not going to film.
Then the first cut.
Yep, the first cut's done. And so now I'm going to take our straight edge off. I'm just going to undo these 3 screws. Here, here, So I'm going to put that away, and then when we come back, we're going to measure the blade to fence distance for the other side.
Fence distance for a second cat.
Okay, so it's basically the same thing as when we measured the straight edge, but this time we just go edge to edge on the board. So I'm going to do the same thing where I measure all the way down. I push this in anytime I get to a distance on the board that is smaller, and then I take note of that distance and set the blade to fence here.
Ta-da! Okay.
Okay. So I just wanted to show you real quick that to catch sawdust, I attached this bag using a bin here, and I'll take this apart and show you on the second part. But basically, I put the bag around the bin so it's a nice circle and it catches all the sawdust that comes out of here, and I just use zip ties to hold it in place. And so we've got a lot of sawdust here, and spares a lot of cleanup.
And now we're gonna look inside the sawdust bag.
Okay, so I'm just going to take this off. I'm getting ready to clean up. So I'm going to cut my zip ties. There's that side.
That looked dusty.
Here's this side. It's dusty. There's a lot of dust in there. And then pull it out this way. Okay. So there is all the sawdust. You can see this square. That's part of the pan that I cut off. So I'm going to untape it, and I'm just going to pull this out.
Where did you get that?
Oh, I just got it at the store. I needed the bottom parts. So see, I cut the bottom off, and I didn't have a use for it, but now I do. And that is for my sawdust catch.
Okay.